He went to the dentist for a routine cleaning. Same dentist he had used for 19 years. Same chair. Same hygienist. 20 minutes of scraping and polishing. He was back at his desk by 9:15. He did not feel anything unusual. There was no pain, no bleeding, nothing that would make a man of 63 think twice. The bacteria was already in his blood before he reached the parking lot. 3 weeks later, Frank Deluca was in a cardiac surgery unit in Cleveland. His mitral valve had been eaten from the inside. The surgeon told his wife the valve was gone. Not damaged, gone. The cardiologist asked one question nobody had asked in 3 weeks. Had he recently been to the dentist? This is system failure. His name is Frank Deluca, 63 years old, retired electrician from Akron, Ohio. He went to the dentist twice a year without fail. He flossed. He used mouthwash. He was the kind of patient dentists point to as an example. 4 years earlier, a routine echocardiogram had shown a mild mitral valve prolapse, a small structural irregularity. His cardiologist called it common, called it benign, said to monitor it annually, said it was nothing to worry about. He did not tell Frank's dentist. Frank did not tell his dentist. There was no system that connected those two doctors. There was no form that asked, "Remember the mild valve prolapse?" Remember who never told the dentist. Streptococcus viridans, a bacterium that lives harmlessly in every human mouth, on your teeth, along your gums, under your tongue. It causes no harm there. It belongs there. But the mouth is not sealed from the rest of the body. Every time a dental hygienist scrapes plaque from below the gum line, microscopic tears open in the gum tissue. For a few minutes, those tears are open pathways between the mouth and the bloodstream. In a healthy heart, Streptococcus viridans enters the blood, circulates briefly, and the immune system clears it within hours. The person feels nothing. It happens to everyone who sits in a dental chair. But Frank's mitral valve was not smooth. The prolapse had left a small irregularity on its surface, a rough patch, a place where bacteria could grip. The bacteria gripped. By the time Frank paid at the front desk and walked to his car, Streptococcus viridans had already begun colonizing the surface of his mitral valve. It was already building. It was already destroying. Day 4. A low fever, 99.1. Frank took 2 ibuprofen and went back to his garden. Day 8. Fatigue. He told his wife he was getting old. She laughed. He went to bed at 8:30. Day 11. The fever was back, higher this time, 101. He called his general practitioner. The receptionist booked him in for 3 days later. The bacteria kept eating. Every hour, the valve surface eroded a little more. Day 14. The general practitioner examined him. Fever of unknown origin. He ordered blood work. White cell count elevated. He prescribed a broad-spectrum antibiotic and told Frank to rest. He did not ask about the dentist. He did not listen to Frank's heart with anything beyond a standard stethoscope check. He did not order an echocardiogram. That question does not exist on the general practitioner intake form. The antibiotic slowed the infection slightly. It did not stop it. Streptococcus viridans, embedded deep in the valve tissue, was already past the reach of an oral antibiotic. Frank felt marginally better. He thought he was recovering. The valve kept dissolving. Day 21. Frank woke at 4 in the morning, unable to catch his breath. Not shortness of breath, the inability to breathe. His lungs were filling with fluid. His heart was no longer pumping efficiently enough to clear it. His wife called 911. He sat on the edge of the bed with his hands on his knees, leaning forward, trying to find air that wasn't there. At Cleveland Clinic, the emergency echocardiogram showed what 3 weeks of infection had done. The mitral valve leaflets were covered in vegetations, dense colonies of bacteria, and destroyed tissue. One leaflet had perforated. The valve was no longer closing properly. Blood was flowing backward with every heartbeat. The diagnosis: infective endocarditis. Advanced. The cardiologist on call reviewed the echo and looked at Frank's chart. Mild mitral valve prolapse. Known for 4 years. No prophylactic antibiotics ever prescribed. She walked into the room and asked the question that unlocked everything. "Have you had any dental work in the last month?" Frank's wife answered immediately. 3 weeks ago, a cleaning. Just a cleaning." The cardiologist closed the chart. Here is what happens when Streptococcus viridans reaches a damaged valve surface. The bacteria adheres to the irregular tissue and begins forming a biofilm. Other bacteria aggregate around it. Platelets and fibrin from the blood accumulate on top, forming a vegetation, a dense, layered mass of bacteria, dead cells, and clotted material. The vegetation grows outward from the valve surface. It disrupts the valve's ability to open and close cleanly. As it grows, it begins to erode the valve tissue beneath it. The leaflets thin, they weaken, they perforate, and at any moment, a piece of that vegetation can break free, travel through the bloodstream, and lodge in the brain. A stroke. Instantaneous. Frank's vegetation had been growing for 21 days. The leaflet was already perforated. He was days from a catastrophic stroke or complete heart failure. Frank went into open heart surgery 18 hours after arriving at the emergency room. The infected valve was removed entirely. A mechanical replacement was implanted. He spent 11 days in the cardiac ICU, 6 weeks of intravenous antibiotics through a PICC line, 8 months of cardiac rehabilitation. He will take blood thinners every day for the rest of his life because of the mechanical valve. He will never be able to stop. A single missed dose risks a clot. A clot risks a stroke. His cardiologist told him afterward that 1 tablet of amoxicillin taken 1 hour before his dental cleaning would have prevented everything. 1 tablet, 1 hour, taken once. Nobody told him to take it. Antibiotic prophylaxis before dental procedures exists. It is an established protocol. 1 dose of amoxicillin, taken 1 hour before any dental work that causes bleeding, dramatically reduces the risk of infective endocarditis in at-risk patients. The problem is the word at risk. To receive that antibiotic, a patient must be identified as at risk. To be identified, their dentist must know about their heart condition, and for their dentist to know, someone must have told them. Frank's cardiologist knew about the valve prolapse. Frank's dentist did not. There is no shared record system. There is no mandatory disclosure form. There is no question on any dental intake sheet that asks about heart conditions in enough detail to trigger the prophylaxis protocol. The 2 doctors who together held the information that would have saved Frank's valve never spoke to each other. They never needed to. The system never required it. Here is what you need to know. If you have any known heart condition, a valve abnormality, a congenital defect, a history of endocarditis, or an artificial valve, tell your dentist before every appointment. Every single one. Say these words: "I have a heart condition and I need to discuss antibiotic prophylaxis before this procedure." And if you do not know whether you have a heart condition, ask your general practitioner for a baseline echocardiogram. Mitral valve prolapse affects 2 to 3% of the population. Most of them do not know. If you develop a fever, fatigue, or night sweats in the weeks following any dental procedure, go to your doctor. Say these words: "I need to rule out infective endocarditis. I had dental work recently." They will not connect the dentist to your heart. You have to. Frank Deluca went to the dentist for a routine cleaning. 19 years, same chair, same hygienist. 20 minutes. He was back at his desk by 9:15. The bacteria was already in his blood before he reached the parking lot. This is system failure. I will see you in the next waiting room.